Well, welcome to your Thursday Throwback. Why was it so important for Paul to be a traditional Jew? Do you think it's important for us today to continue traditions that we don't really need? First, let me go to Deuteronomy 16, verse 16. It says this: 3 times a year all your males shall appear before the Lord your God at the place that he will choose, at the feast of unleavened bread, at the feast of weeks, at the feast of booths. They shall not appear before the Lord empty-handed. This was a command given to the Jewish people. Paul is a Jew, so naturally he would be following this law. And last night we talked about how Paul was on his way back to Jerusalem in order to observe Pentecost. That is one of the feasts mentioned. Passover is the feast of unleavened bread. Pentecost is the feast of weeks. And Tabernacles is the feast of booths. So while Paul is a Jew by birth, he also understands that following the rules don't give you salvation. But he knows that salvation is only through faith in Jesus Christ. And so 1 Corinthians 9:20-22 gives us some insight. Paul says, "To the Jews I became a Jew in order to win Jews. To those under the law I became as one under the law, though not being myself under the law, that I might win those under the law. To those outside the law I became as one outside the law, not being outside the law of God, but under the law of Christ, that I might win those outside the law. To the weak I became weak, that I might win the weak. I have become all things to all people, that by all means I might save some." So I want you to understand that Paul was observing these feasts because he was trying to win Jews for the Lord. It was not something that would bring salvation. It was not something that he was doing just because, but he felt this was honoring to God by trying to win others for the Lord. It is important to note that the Passover, Pentecost, and Tabernacles all were pointing to Jesus. Jesus came and he fulfilled the law. If you want to think of it this way, Passover was when they celebrated God's salvation from Egypt. They put the blood of the lamb over their doorposts. And this is a picture of Jesus paying the price for our sin, giving us freedom. And then you have Pentecost. We see the disciples receiving the Holy Spirit, right? The promise of God. And then you have Tabernacles, saying that God lives within us. All those things were a foreshadowing to Jesus, and Jesus fulfilled them all. And that's why Paul says that he's not under the law, but he's under the law of Christ. I hope that answers your question. To the second part of your questions, where it says, do you think it's important for us today to continue traditions that we don't really need? I think if you're trying to win people for the Lord, that you do as Paul did. To a Jew, he became like a Jew. To those that were outside the law, he became as one outside the law. There's your Thursday Throwback. What a doozy. We'll see you next week. God bless.